really on time because there's a lot of material to cover. Okay, today's topic. Ooh, what happened here? Today's topic, it's all going to be Sheetset Manager. So what happened is that in the history, it was first introduced by Autodesk in 2005. The purpose is that you basically manage the drawings more effectively. It's easier for the user to access the drawing. So what you have is that you have a Sheetset Manager icon, which a lot of people use, and just double-click on it, it will just access to all the drawings. It also has benefits in batch printing, e-transmit, and also coordinated with the set. There are some new features, I believe was introduced in 2016 or 17, I'm not sure, where you can actually add some sort of a call-out bubble, like a section, and it will link it with your drawings. Probably in the future, I'll show you how to do that. So it's basically when you cut a section, that section mark has a link to the sheet set, and then when you double-click on it, it will just open up that drawing. So it's pretty cool. So the key point of this is that we want people to kind of keep educating themselves, because we keep adding Sheetset Manager, like all the new features, and it is users, it's their role to basically just keep educating themselves so that they don't fall behind with all the new features. Okay, so when you look at the benefit Sheetset, this was the original when they first came out with AutoCAD 2005. So what they want to do is that they want to give user the ability to kind of like have an organization where you can actually do a lot of stuff under one template. So what they come up with is that it's a Sheetset Manager, which allows you to create sheets, assign set properties, and then just define it with fields. So most people have dealt with Sheetset Manager. So here's just basically just kind of like a simple rundown of how the quick menu works. So what you have is that the top part right here, it's your quick menus, and you have tabs, and then you have a sheet organization list. Now, depending on what version you're using, if you're using 2014, you will get this classic menu. You can also get it with the ribbonized menu. If you're using 2016, you're only going to get ribbonized menu. You can still access the classic menu, but most people will prefer, like in 2016, just use the ribbonized version. When you click on one of the Sheetset other Imperial metric, what it does is that it comes up with this list, okay, a folder. Now, each folder does specifically different things. So what you have is that 1 level, 2 level, and 3 levels are reference to the number of folders or how XREF is going to be it's going to get reference. The number 1 level means that you only have 1 XREF reference to a sheet, whereas if you have 2, it means that you have 2 level of XREF. So you have the first XREF into another XREF, and then you go into the sheet. And then third one is just basically so on and so forth. There's also 2 version where you have no subfolder and with subfolder. So later on, I'm just going to demonstrate what that is. So typically when you're using a Sheetset Manager, you kind of have to understand what kind of like what kind of template that you're supposed to use. If you're an architect, you have to use everything. For civils, landscape, and the other discipline, you don't really need to use the 3-level reference, because 3-level reference, it's really complicated where you have multiple towers. We just reference it multiple times. As for the other discipline, they're very simple. They don't really need a lot of XREFing. I also have to know what kind of building typology that you're doing. Okay, if you're doing a small renovation, simple reference is good enough. Okay, when you're doing a multi-purpose tower, then you need like the whole 3-level referencing. Okay, a lot of time when I talk about what's inside the Sheetset Manager, here is just basically the template itself. Now, this template was derived from AutoCAD architecture, where they have sets of folders, elements, construct, views, and sheets. So what we're doing with our Sheetset template is that we're just basically borrowing that idea that was set up by Autodesk and then just make them into more of a standardized template. All right, so in the subfolder, with subfolder and without subfolder, so what you have is that the relative path is going to be different for both. So when are you going to use the, let's say, with subfolder or without subfolder? If your drawing has over 100 XREF, what you want is that you want to split them up into a subfolder. If your drawing only containing 5, 10 drawings, you don't necessarily need any subfolder. You can just dump all the files, drawing files, under just one. So for instance, if you're working on landscape drawings, the landscape drawings may only have 5 sheets, okay? And then the XREF is pretty simple. So a lot of time with subfolder, it's kind of like the user has to go in, double-click, and then just go find where the drawings are. Whereas if without subfolder, all they have is just 5 drawings inside that folder. So the difference is that if you have less than 10 drawings, without subfolder works. If you have more than like hundreds, use the subfolder. Now when you do the XREF path, this is how it's supposed to run. It's dot dot slash and then whatever folder it is, and then followed by drawing. Whereas if you do the relative path, it's going to be dot dot slash. Okay, so you less one folder. So that's the only difference. All right, let's do a quick demo. All right, when you, oh, I got a question. Okay, so when you first open up AutoCAD 2014, I'm using 2016 as an example. All right, so if you use 2014, it's going to be the same. So what you're going to have is that you have this icon right here. Just click on, let's say, Imperial Sheetset or Metrics. So I'm just going to click on Imperial. So what you have is that you're going to have this folder. The one thing that you want to do is that you want to choose which one you want. So let's say I'm working on like a single tower. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to double click here. I'm just going to copy this. The next thing you want to do is that you want to paste it inside, like let's say a project. Right now I'm just going to go inside just my folder here. Okay, for Simon. Project 000. Okay, I'm just going to copy it. And that's how you set up your sheet set. And then the next thing you want to do is that you want to rename this. All right, I'm going to call this 000 new project. Next thing you want to do is that you want to double click on this, and what it does is that it'll bring up this sheet set, okay, already created. So next thing you want to do is that you want to go inside this particular, before you create new sheets, I recommend that you rename this couple of properties. So here you click on properties. I'll just say rename this, new project. All right, sure. Project name is Sheetset Manager, and then testing. And you want to say the username. It's going to put. I'm going to put my name, and then today date 2016 06/24. And then you want to scroll down, and then you just go find, okay, scale. So what I typically do is that I normally put in the scale that I'm going to be using the most. So let's say I'm going to be using 1/8 of an inch. The rest of the other stuff, you can put in client address, client name. Let's say this is going to be ABC client. And you can say ABC Street. Now there's a couple of new features we added into this. You notice that in the older version, you're not going to have the notes. Now what this does is that later I'm going to show you when you added in general notes, you can actually modify it in Sheetset, and what it does is that it will update your general notes. Okay. So a lot of this is all already preset, so you don't have to do much. Just only have to configure it. Now the next thing you want to do is that before you create any sheets, by default it's going to set to Arch E. Okay. So if you want to change it, this is the place location you want to change it. Just click on this. And what you're going to get is that you're going to get a bunch of sheets that it's going to be inside this template. So what you're going to do is that I'm going to use the Arch D. okay, just vertical. There's a V for vertical, and then there's another one that's the H for horizontal title block. I'm just going to demonstrate both of them later on. And what it does is I was going to ask, okay, sure. I'm just going to apply it. Okay. Now, next thing you want to do is that you want to create new sheets. So here I'm just going to say new sheets A0,00. Let's say this is cover page. Now, what it's going to do is that before you do anything, add like a project number to the end. Just a good practice. The reason why is that if you put let's say A000 cover page, what happens is that when you do search, it's going to search for all of this. Okay, so I always like to add project names so that you know exactly what project name. Okay, when you hit OK, what it does is that it's going to put it into the correct location. So when you go to Sheets, you see the general, it's going to be basically link into that. So when you double click on this, okay, there we go. Now, the nicest thing about Sheetset Manager is that you can change the property. Let's say, for example, the project name, the client decided to change the project name to something else. Let's say this is today's webinar session. Okay. When you hit OK, what it does is that when you regenerate, this automatically change. Okay. So one of the mistakes that a lot of users tends to do is that they like to go in there and double click on it. Well, right now I made them into a group so that it prevents people from actually messing this thing up. Okay. I know that sometimes people will mess it up. I'll just demonstrate how people will mess it up. So if you want, I'm just going to turn off my object grouping. Let's say people are just going to go in there and just put in like this, put it, all that stuff. Now, I ill advise people doing this because the reason why is that later on, if you ever want to change your title block into something bigger, what happened is that this data only shows up in this location, and it will not, when you change to a new size, this thing going to get wiped out. So if you do run into this kind of a scenario, there is one called the field replace. Okay, there is one for the text and then one for the attributes. So what you want is that you want to click on this sheets. The project number is going to be under Sheetset. So when you click on this, what it does is that it will revert that back into the Sheetset. Okay. So if you do run into that problem, I always recommend that you just go back here. Oops, I missed that. So sheet drawn by and check by. Okay. What this does is that you always have to make sure that user use this as kind of like your kind of like your properties. Okay. So if you want to change the name, I'm gonna call it this my initial, and what it does is that this automatically update. Okay. Now a couple of new features we added in is that we have client logo. I know that in the past what user did is that they add in a logo and then they reference it into the sheet itself, which is this one. Now, what tends to happen is that user just messed up a lot of things. Sometimes the ArchD becomes ArchE, and then they have no idea what the heck is going on. So in the new version of the Sheetset Manager, we're trying to prevent that. Okay, this one should not be touched. The only thing you want to go is that you want to go into this logo. So let's say, for example, your client has a logo. I'm just going to put it in like just a simple logo. Let's say this is just a generic logo. The next thing what I want to do is that I want to just insert in, let's say, an image. That's too big. That's too big. Let me see. I'm just going to use one of the logo from one of my clients. So library title block. Yeah, let's say I'm going to use that. I'm going to use full path because it's on another folder, but I typically recommend that you use a relative path. Okay, so what happened here now is that this is just a logo for temporary placeholder. What you can do is I just stretch them out, delete whatever is inside, and then Just erase this one. Come on. And when you save it, what happens is that all the other one is going to get replaced. So you're going to get the logo. Okay, this is how we want people to kind of do it, because let's say if you want to, let's say I'm going to change my sheet now, properties. Let's say right now I'm just going to change this to some other sheet. Let's say vertical. Okay, say OK, apply sheet changes, and then now I'm going to go a 0.01 stat sheet. And when you double click on it, you notice that the logo's there. Okay, so if you change that logo, it's going to be happening to all your project. Okay, those are basically how we do it. Now the other thing users have to keep in mind is this legal thing. I think a memo sent out to everybody was saying that if you're working with architects, you kind of have to make sure that the legal address is the same. So in your XREF, what you have is that you have this legal imperial. Go open it. Okay, if you're working with the civil, okay, if you're working with the geomatics like civils, you probably falls under this category, geomatics. But most of us, if you're working with interior, landscape, architects, you fall under this category. If you're working with surveyor, civil, you have to fall under geomatics. For the rest of the people, if you're working on, let's say, something that is professional service, this would probably be like the graphics department, the transportation department, security, you fall under the professional service. Okay? Those are just a couple of things, okay, just to keep in mind, because when you change this and save it, what happens is that within your title block, it will automatically update that information. Okay? Just to keep in mind. All right, so the next feature I want to showcase is this tab location. Okay, what you have is that you have a sheet view and then you have a model view. Model view, what happens is that it's like a browser, and when you click on this, you notice that it just expands into your folder. So here, what I could do is that if I want to look at like a couple of drawings, I could just double click on here. You see that it opens up the drawing pretty fast. So I treat this as kind of like your project browser. So if you just hover over it, what it does is that it gives you a preview of what they are. Okay, and who's the last person editing them. Okay, so if you want to know who screwed up your drawings, you can always just hover over it and just look at it, last edit by who. Then you can just go ask them, what the heck do you do? And do you have a backup file? So maybe you can just ask them for the backup files. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to show you the process how we take the drawings and then link them into a sheet. So the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm just going to copy a bunch of drawings and just put them in here. Okay. Now, when you receive a file from, let's say, a consultant or anybody, I typically recommend that you copy the drawings and put it into here. Okay. You do not want to link it to file receive folder. I notice that a lot of the time people do that. The worst thing that could happen is that, let's say the consultant changed their drawings and then you have to repath everything again. So rather than doing that, I'm just going to just just show you what I would do typically. So let's say, for example, client, well, actually, file sent, yeah, sure. So I sent a drawings to a consultant, or I receive a file from consultant. Let's say extract here. So the first thing you want to do is that when you receive a file, just copy that. Okay. Typically here, I'm just going to say create a folder called consultants. Oh, right there. Okay. Now, I don't recommend user creating another subfolder. If you want, you can say, okay, if this is a consultant for structure, then just put a structure. Okay. If it's mechanical, MEP. Now, the reason why I don't recommend doing it is because the minute that you add in a new folder, your XREF path is going to bump it up from ... / into triple ... / Okay, the more folder you add it in, the more subfolder you add it in, the longer the path is going to be. It's going to confuse the the user and everybody else. So this is why when I say don't put anything in here, just don't put it anything. Just call like, okay, consultant MEP, structure MEP. If you have anything else, like let's say structure architects or structure, then yes, that will differentiate between our structure and their structure. Okay, just as a word of thought. Okay. Okay, now I copied it over. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit refresh. You see that now what it has is that it has consultant MEP. I'm just going to open up this one of this drawings. So let's say this is a pool. Ooh, it has a 3D feature. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is that, let's say you want to link this to, let's say, a sheet. How would you do it? The first thing you want to do is that just press V for view. Okay, click on new, and this one I'm just going to say this is going to be a section, and define a window. I'm just going to define it right here. Okay, good, and hit OK, and then OK. And then the next one I want to do is that I'm going to do the 3D. Okay, I'm just going to set 3D, define. It's going to be from here to here. OK, and OK, and OK. Now once you save it, I'm just going to save this drawing. The next thing what's going to do is that when you hit refresh, this button right there, what it does is that it has this 3D and then section. Now the next thing I want to do is that I'm just going to go into this particular sheet. What you can do now is that you can actually drag and drop. Okay, if you ever use Revit, this is a perfect example. Okay, you can just drag and drop. Now, unfortunate thing I forgot to put in is that whenever you adding in, let's say, a new sheet, it's going to default to 1:1. Okay. Now, if you want to add new scale, I typically recommend that you guys click on here, just add. Let's say this is a 1/4 inch. I'm just going to click on that, and then I'm just going to reinsert them in again. And then you can right-click on it. You see that there's a 1/4 inch, and then you can just say, okay, I'm just going to put it on there. What it does is that it will automatically add this section to it. All right. So what you can do here is that you see that in this particular section, you can actually rename this. So let's say this is going to be this, and then this is going to be my pool section. Okay. When you regenerate, you notice that it's going to do that. So the next thing I want to do is that I'm going to add a scale, probably 1/8. Go back at 3D and change it the scale, and then OK. And now what I'm going to do is that you go back to the sheet view, right-click, rename this to 3D isometric view. And when you regenerate, there we go, number 2. So the nicest thing about this is that you can renumber stuff. Okay, so I would use this if you are doing more or less like details. Okay, what this does is that if you have a lot of details and you want to rearrange stuff, this is a perfect way to do it. And the second benefit is that you see the scale. Okay, every time you change this to, let's say, something else. Okay, let's say this one, I want to change it to 1/8. Okay, what this does is that this automatically updates. So that's the nicest thing. Okay, this is already pretty much built into your Sheetset Manager. So you don't have to do a lot of things. All you have to do is just put in your drawings, create views, and drag and drop. Okay? So hopefully there's no question. If you do have a question, okay, the question is that are this feature available in 2014? Yes, because Sheetset Manager was first introduced in 2016, actually 2005, and some of the stuff from the 2005, it's still the same. Now, the nicest thing about Sheetset Manager is that it's backward compatible. So if the users are using Sheetset Manager from, let's say, 2016, and when you double-click on stuff for 2014, it still works. Okay, that's what I like about Sheetset Manager, because it's an XML file. It's Excel, so if you want to edit them, you can actually edit them with an AutoCAD. Okay. All right, some other new features is that, let's say, for example, you're working on a Richmond project. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to go to architecture and just impure documentation. First, I'm just going to just go to the cover page, for instance. Okay, if you want to create, let's say, a schedule like a list, like let's say all your drawings, what you can do is that you can go, I typically right-click here, and you notice that there is one called the Insert Sheet Table. Okay, this will only appear if you open one of the Sheetset sheets. Okay, if you're opening up one of this in Model View, you notice that it will just highlight in gray. So you first need a sheet, then this will start to appear. Okay, when you insert them in, then I would just say okay. Yeah, this is too big. Okay, so what I typically do is that always go to architecture, standard, just add in your table style. This is going to be 12-inch. Okay, this is good. Next thing you want to do is that when you go right-click here, insert sheet list table. Now I can just choose this. Okay, you can say what drawings you want to add it in. What it does is that it will just highlight it. Okay, I'll just leave it as a default. Okay, don't change anything, because if you do, you kind of have to redo it again. Now the benefit of this is that you can actually add and say I want to add the sheet number scale. When you click OK, there we go. Nicest thing about this is that if, let's say, you ever change anything inside your Sheetset Manager, okay, let's say this is a 1/4 inch or not to scale, right? Well, maybe I should do not to scale. What you can do now is that you can actually right-click on the link, reload extra. Well, actually, just go right-click here, update. And what it does is that you see that a 1/4 inch is added in. Now, also nicest thing about this is that when you click on new sheet, let's say I'm going to say this is A00 site plan, and then I'm going to go add in 0000. Okay, and when you right click here, update the table, you see that it's going to start adding in those new drawings. Okay, so yes, just use Sheetset as kind of like your base point so that you can actually generate a lot of this information. Now, what I mentioned before, don't overwrite this, because what happened is that you notice that this 1/4 inch is actually linking with this. So if I, let's say, cover page, I'm going to say not to scale, okay? I could just go right-click and it's not to scale. This thing, all I have to do is just update table list, and then it becomes not to scale. So it has to link in with anything, okay? If someone actually, consultants say, oh, I need a bigger sheet, the easiest way you can do is that if you, let's say, you want to replace the sheet with, like, let's say, the large size. The nice thing about Sheetset is that you can go into the template, double-click on that. Since it's a cover page, I might as well just add in a cover page. And what you're going to do is that hover to where you want the drawings. Let's say, for example, my drawing is, let's see, yeah, no, RHD, come on. Oh, let's say I'm going to go into presentation, okay? What I'm going to do is that select all of this, okay? I'm just going to use the show menu, edit copied base point, and then make it 0, 0. Next thing you want to do is that when you go into this cover page, all you have to do is just delete this. And when you edit and paste here, and all your information is going to be staying there. Okay, that's the advantage of Sheetset, is that you don't replace the field. What it does is that you can just replace the whole sheet, just delete them and then just paste them in. And what it does is that your new sheet is going to inherit the new information. Okay, simple as that. One thing that it will not change is that if you set your sheet set to be Arch E, like let's see, this one is Arch D, what it does is that you notice that the paper size, it's not going to be correct. Okay, so it's something you can fix pretty easily. Just go plot, and say, okay, this one I want it to be Arch E1. And apply to layout, and then just close out of it. And what it does is that it will make it the same. Most users usually skip on that, okay? If you do have users skipping on that, then they cannot use this feature right here. When you go print, published, the PDF, what happens is that if there is a difference in size, this will automatically print this in Arch D, if let's say I don't change the setting. So my recommendation is that if you're not sure if the user set it up correctly, I always recommend print using page setup override. Okay, I forgot to close this. No. Okay. What I typically do is that I recommend that you always use this feature, publish using page override. The reason why is that this will override whatever settings is inside this page. For some odd reason, this was grayed out. But if you click on it, it will give you like a list of all the plotters, printers, and what you do, just choose the right plotter setup. Okay, so that's the sheet list table. The next thing, there's other feature that I added into this. So that the first thing you want to do is that just go to the IBI group, go to the Imperial documentation. Now, what you want is that you want to click on schedule. No, not the schedule. I think it could be a keynote. Or miscellaneous. There you go. All right. So you notice that there's a symbol legend. So let's say this is a cover page. You want to set it up. So what I typically do, let's see, Imperial block. Oh, this is no good. That's okay. Oh, no. Anyways, I'm just going to go into the 2014 version. I'm just going to close out of this and then just use the 2014. There's something wrong with this. I'm just going to say save. No. Okay, I'm just going to use the 2014. So I mentioned before, the nicest thing about Sheetset Manager is that if the 2016 doesn't work, you can always go back to 2014. Yeah, that's the nicest thing about this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back to where I place my my Sheetset Manager. So let's say user cleanup, Simon project, and I'm just going to double click on it. So you notice that right now I can have access to the, let's say, cover page. Okay. Okay. So let's say, for example, I want to add in a note. So I'm just going to go back to the. This is what everybody's familiar with, and I'm just going to show menu. So let's say you're going to go IBI group, architecture, Imperial documents. Okay. So what you want is that when you click on miscellaneous symbol, you're going to get this general notes. So when you click on this, okay, what this does is that you can say click on this parking general notes, just dump it there. Now, you're noticing that if you are working in a different municipality, okay, what this does is that you can just go right-click here, go Properties, okay. Let's say you're working in the city of Richmond. Oh, excuse me. What you have to do is just call City of Richmond, and then this is going to be BC 2012 or 2013. I don't know which version. When you click on this, what happens is that you don't have to worry about all your code or whatever. Like the project manager doesn't have to go in there and say check and make sure that they're reading the correct information. So everything is built into the Sheetset Manager, and what you can do now is that just change a little bit of your, let's say, office standard. Then what this does is that it will just give you the correct information. Okay, just some of the stuff. You can go in there and just modify stuff. Now, if you want to customize, let's say, a title block from a client that asking you, oh, I got this title block. Can you put it into your template? It's pretty easy. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to show you how I do it. Okay, so first I'm just going to copy a title block that was done by a consultant. Okay, title block. Let's So what I have is that I'm just going to copy the title block. See, double click. Yeah, that's the title block that I want to use. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to copy all the other stuff. Okay, just copy that information. Now what you want to do is that you go to standard, go to title block, just paste it into that correct information. So here I'm just going to do that. Right now I have one, it's called the title block update. The next thing you want to do is that you want to go to Sheetset Manager. Come on. And what you want to do is that go to Model Views and open up that template again. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to open up my template. And then the next thing you want to do is that just go right click and say New Layout. And right click on this, rename it, and call it, let's say this is a new title block. So next thing I want to do is that just xref, just normally that's how you do it. Okay, attach a drawing. So now what it does is that it will reference to the wrong location. So what you want to do is that just go into the where you place your template. Okay, project 00, standard title block, and I should see the title block update. Okay, you want to put relative path and hit OK, OK. And one thing I have to be careful with is that when you click on the title block update, you notice that this particular location, the save path, it's not the correct location. Typically what you want is that you want to configure it, standard / title block. Okay, that's the correct path. Now the next thing you want to do is that you want to add in, like, let's say title. Okay, I'm going to use like this go standard style. I want to make Arial. Okay, so what you want is that you want to put in your, could be anything. Okay, now what you want to do is that you want to use this. This is going to be the sheet name. Just click on that. Okay, and copy all the other information. I'm just going to say scale, date, issue, and then drawing. And then this one I'm probably going to make it large. This one I'll probably make it 3/16 of an inch. Probably a quarter is fine. Okay. And what you do here is that all you have to do is just go in here and say sheet scale, change that, drawing number. Oh, actually it doesn't work the second time, so I may have to, there we go. Sheet scale, and then the date, revision date. Yeah, there's a little bit quirkiness to this. Okay, so let's say this is what you want, and then I'll probably make that thing 1/8 of an inch. Okay, once you save this, okay, now what you can do here is that I'm going to close out of this template. Now what I can do is that for the new sheet, I want to use the new template. Okay, I'm going to scroll down, change that. Oh, I forgot to refresh. Okay, new, is it new? Very, very strange. Refresh, properties, scroll all the way down. Very strange, it's not in there. Did I place it in the wrong location? Just in case I didn't accidentally. Oh, okay, I made a mistake. I put it in a model. That's why I didn't pick it up. Oh, my mistake, silly mistake. So if you do make that mistake, just copy it, 0, 0. I'm just going to get rid of that. New title block, and then 0, 0. Okay, just a mistake. Okay, so next time when you reference it in, put it in the right thing. And I'm just going to exit out of here. When you go to Sheetset Manager now what you can do now is that when you click on Properties, you should see the new title block. Okay, when you hit OK, apply, and then now what you can do is that you can create a new sheet, 101, and this is going to be first floor plan. And I recommend that you always put in your project number. Okay, and then when you double click now, you're going to get the new title block. Yeah, the issue I forgot to change it, so you can have to go in and change it to revision number. All right, there we go. Any questions so far with this? All right, the question is how do you e-transmit all the sheets at once? Okay, it's pretty simple. So what you want to do is that depending on which set you want, let's say for example I want to e-transmit only the general notes. So what happens is that if you want to archive the whole thing, you can go e-transmit. Okay, and what does is that it's going to pick in the whole thing. But if you want individual folder, this is where you're going to do it, and just go e-transmit. Okay. Now a couple of settings say, okay, e-transmit because blah blah blah, it's open. Yeah, it's always like that. So make sure that the drawings are closed first. Yeah, sure. I'll just save it, and then I'm just going to exit out. Yeah, sure. Save it. Okay. So now what you can do is that you can go e-transmit. Can you? Okay. Is there a correct location for the title block? Okay, so a couple questions coming in. Okay, so once you have that, yeah, fatal error. Yeah, it's gonna give you settings. Yeah, it always crashed. All right, where's the correct location for the title block? Okay, the correct location, if you always want to do it, every time when you copy a template, what it does is that when you go to standard, there is one called a title block. Okay, now when I said before, don't overwrite this. Some people did overwrite it, and what happens is that when IBI logo did change, okay, it was a nightmare for them to actually change it because they have to go into every single title block and make that change and get rid of it. So this is why I said don't modify it, and because if let's say the next version of the title block, let's say I made an update, a huge major update, what you have to do is just replace the sheet, all these files. And that's all you guys have to do. That's the simple thing. If you don't follow that, then you kind of have to go in and change everything, do a lot of settings. It was just a pain in the butt. Okay, just follow that. Don't do anything to this. Can you apply these changes to sheet set versus sheet in the ribbon if you're going to reflect the entire drawing set? Okay, the question is more to do with this information. Let's say, for example, I'm just going to open this up. In the Sheetset Manager, you have the ability to edit the custom properties. Okay, you can add. Okay, there is one called Sheet and Sheet Set. Now, once this is already placed in there, you cannot change it. You cannot change, unfortunately. So this is why when they set it up, make sure that you go into the template and change what you need before you create new sheets, or else it's not going to work. Okay, a perfect example would be some user was asking, oh, I got a Sheetset Manager, but I want this date. Here, I'm just going to go back to the Sheetset, my Sheetset. They were asking, oh, my date for this, I want this date to be set as issued date. Okay. Now, if you have to do that, what I typically recommend user doing is that go into the template itself. Okay, more question coming in, so that's okay. So if you have to change that to, let's say, this to a sheet set, you have to do it here. Go to IBI Group, just go to sheet set, and say this is going to be my submission date. Okay, click on that, and then save it out. So let's say this one, I'm just going to go right-click, project, and I'm just going to change it back to new title block to the Arch D vertical. Sure, let's apply changes. So what happened is that when you go new sheet, a 1.03 second level floor plan, what it does is that it will inherit this particular information. So when you go, let's say this is June 20, let's say this is July 1st, 2016, then all of that stuff will change. Now, you guys have to be careful because by default, this date should always be per sheet. Do you guys know the reason behind it? It is more to do with documenting your drawings when it was first started. We had, I had several users asking, why can't this be just sheet set date? Sometimes the client is going to ask us, when do you start doing this work? And this date is becoming your legal documentation. So if you start on the date, they know that, okay, they have to calculate based on this date. Okay, just for legal ramification, you can still do this. Okay, this is what I would recommend that you do this in DP stage, not in construction documentation stage. In construction documentation, this should always refer to the sheet date, which is you go right-click, go properties, and this is the actual legal date. Okay. All right. The next way, let's see, is there a way to export PDF so that the PDF is the name only instead of file name and layout name? Okay. I see. So I guess the question is that when you go publish, let's say using override, and let's say I'm going to go right-click using override full. Okay, so what happens is that when I print as a PDF, I'm not sure. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so what you have is that you have site plan, and then you have the 000A1, but whatever, right? I think that's what Chris is referring to. That I'm not sure, because I think there is a setting in there. Let's see. Probably have to look into that further, because I know that that was one of the concerning things that was user, because the long name will just screw you up. Krista, I'll probably get back to you on that. Now, the other thing users just have to watch out for when you're doing a Sheetset Manager is that I believe this was there was a fact that user was using a percentage, right? It was either percentage or something like that, right? It was some sort of a symbol. Now, what happened is that when you add that symbol to this, okay, this will end up screwing up the so let's say when you go right-click, I think it's one of the issue. Maybe I should go back to the Sheetset Manager, because I think I did a lot of this question and answer. Like when you go scroll all the way down, common Sheetset error. Sheetset's not working. This is sort of like, okay, so let's say my field value keeps displaying even though I added a correct Sheetset value. Make sure the symbol is in Sheetset does not contain the dot symbol. Okay, this is a perfectly, what I mean by that is that if you do have a drawing where you say site plan, and then you add a dot on it, okay? What this does is that when you generate your sheet set, let's say, for example, insert sheet set, sure. Okay, this does not happen. Yeah, right now it didn't happen, but sometime what happened is that this thing, it's going to get replaced with some other value, and then there was a glitch, okay? So one of the things that I told the user not to do is that the dot, just be careful, be aware of that. Any other question? Can you provide the link to that Sheetset documents to the webinar? Okay, if you want to access that information, you can always go to the, well, right now it's the local, but I'd rather show you guys where I placed it on the iPortal because a lot of people have access to that. So first thing you want to do is go to Design Technology, search for Sheetset, just click on that. And you should get this introduction to Sheetset Manager. Just click on that. Come on. Okay, you want to open? Yeah, sure. All right, common errors. There we go. So some of the stuff, it's in there. You guys just have to just go access it. Okay. Any other questions? No question. All right. Like I mentioned before, there is a new feature inside 2016 or 17. What happened is that if you did correctly in this this particular sheet view, it will actually link it to the proper proper location when you go to when you print. Okay, batch printing. But I'll probably show you how that's done in the future because I haven't really tested it out. It's really neat because one of our consultant, the structural engineer, was asking, oh yeah, you got too many drawings. Can you create me a PDF where you can link all the sheet reference back to your drawing? What it means is that in a PDF, there's a hyperlink. You can link it back to your drawing so that if when you cut a section, it will just go to that sheet. There's one in new feature inside 2016 or 2017. I'm not sure, but I'll probably do a demonstration on that in the future. All right. Yeah, if you have any questions, just email me. If you have any other concerns, just, yeah, feel free. Thanks.